right, guys, welcome back to another video. We have tons to talk about today, from the PlayStation financials to Hellblade 2 with an insane photo mode, Game Pass announcements, plus a bunch of other games that to look forward to. But before we do jump into this, make sure to hit that subscribe button if it is your first time here, if you like daily gaming news content. And I see about 50% of you watch this channel on a daily basis but have not hit the subscribe button. If that's one of you out there and you like this content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Also check out, link in the description to my Spotify if you want the audio version of this show. But let's start off here and let's talk about the PlayStation financials. Now, PlayStation financials weren't that crazy. They were somewhat interesting, but I think out of everything, the numbers were less interesting than what we are seeing here, which is the shifting tide in the PlayStation strategy. Something that I've been talking about now for many years, that this is the way that PlayStation is going to be going, and this is the way that the industry is shifting towards. It is an ever-changing industry. Almost on a monthly basis, different things are happening to kind of move it in a different direction than what we previously know, which is console exclusivity, attachment rates of first-party games, and all of that stuff. And it's been really highlighted in the last week and a half or 2 weeks with the Xbox studio closures, with the Square Enix financial results yesterday, and now here with the PlayStation financial results. So here are the PlayStation financial results. We'll go through some of the, I guess, important things, the highlights that you should know. Obviously, if you want to do a deep dive into it, you can go check out their actual public papers that they have out there, which gives you all of the nitty-gritty of the numbers. But here's what you need to know. It says here, breaking down the full year results for its G and NS division, so games and services division. Sony reported software sales of 14.1 billion, which is up 24% year on year, of which digital software and add-on accounted for 12.1 billion, which is up 27%. So those numbers are good. They're up. Doesn't tell the full story, though. We will get to that. It says the platform holder said 286.4 million games were sold for the PlayStation 5 during the course of the year, of which 39.7 million were first-party titles. By comparison, the previous fiscal year saw 264.2 million games sold, of which 43.5 million were first-party. And this always goes back to that argument that first-party is so important. It is the most important thing out there for consoles to be sold. That narrative, I think, has pretty much gone away. It's pretty much been destroyed by all of the numbers that we do see in terms of the attachment rate of first-party games versus third-party games. And even here, go year-to-year comparison, there's really been nothing major here from first-party PlayStation studios, but they sold overall more games, and the percentage of first-party games compared to third-party games sold is always significantly lower. Now, one of the second-party games, a game that Sony has published that has been just an absolute success, which I think just completely shows where PlayStation is going to be going in the future for how they release games and how they want to reach gamers and grow their business. That is Helldivers 2. It has been an insane success. We have here that Helldivers 2 sold 12 million copies in just 12 weeks across PC and PlayStation 5. And Sony saying that it's far exceeding their expectations, making it the fastest selling PlayStation game to launch to date. And clearly, the reason it is the fastest selling PlayStation game is because they released it day and date on PC, which points towards the fact that they are going to be doing a lot more of this in the future. Day and date releases of PlayStation games, whether that means their single player experiences, where if they were to release it on Steam the same day they release it on PS5, you would see the sales of those games just exponentially increase. The multiplayer games as a service games, I think, are clearly going to be released day and date on PC. Will they come to Xbox as well? Will they eventually end up coming to the Nintendo Switch too? I would not leave that out of the question. I think that could definitely be the case. I mean, we're already seeing MLB The Show out there on all of the different platforms. Bungie is going to be releasing their games on Xbox, on the Nintendo Switch too, most likely. And in the future, if they release other multiplayer games as a service games from other studios, I wouldn't be surprised if those ended up being completely multi-platform. I mean, it's right there in the numbers. They are seeing how much more money they can make by releasing games everywhere. Now, when it comes to hardware, this is where it gets kind of interesting. They say hardware revenue saw a 9% boost, which there is decent growth in revenue from the network services, including PlayStation Plus at, they say, 3.5 million, up 17%. And there was 118 million active PSN users at the end of Q4, down from 123 million reported by the end of Q3, but up from 108 million marked at the same time last year. And in fact, Q4's active PSN user numbers were the second highest in PlayStation history, bested only by the January to March period of 2021, when the pandemic was not yet a year old. And if you're wondering about total hardware sales, because when it comes to PlayStation, I think people are most interested in how many consoles they do push out there, even though that isn't going to be their measuring stick going forward for their success. It is actually slightly up compared to last fiscal year, but it has missed their target, which they had already decreased, and they had set that at 21 million. They say they managed to ship 20.8 million PS5 units throughout the fiscal year, which is an improvement over last fiscal year of 19.1 million, but fell short of the 21 million target, which again had already been reduced down from 25 million. So overall, the numbers are very kind of mixed, and it's hard to really pull anything out of this other than I think it really is pointing towards the PlayStation is changing their strategy and moving towards the putting games in more places, not really focusing on console sales as their measuring stick, and their operating profits. They need to still increase those ROIs. We don't fully know exactly what that is yet, but we do know that last report, that was a big issue here for the investors. Now, when I say they're changing their strategy, it's not just me looking at what's going on in the industry and coming to this conclusion. It's also Sony saying it themselves. This comes via Hiroki Totoki, saying the business model up to and including the PlayStation 3 was focused on increasing the number of software units sold in relation to newly sold hardware for each console generation. After a transition period during the PS4 generation, the PS5 model has shifted to one where playtime on the platform has increased due to the expansion of the user community beyond console generations. And then Totoki adds that the PS5 has achieved more stable profit growth as a result of the PS4 install base, which saw players carry libraries across console generations. So what Hiroki Totoki is essentially saying here is that the strategy is moving away and has moved away from locking people to the console and then selling them first party games. What their goal is, they want to lock you in to the ecosystem and monetize the customers as much as possible, even if they are just playing a couple of games here and there. Keep their attention away from Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. Keep their attention away from the Nintendo Switch. Keep them within the PlayStation ecosystem. Get them to purchase things like microtransactions, DLC, subscribe to PlayStation Plus. That is the way that they are going to be more profitable in the future. And that PlayStation ecosystem doesn't only have to be on the PlayStation 5. The ecosystem can be from PC and wherever else PlayStation wants to expand it out to. So my prediction going forward is that we are definitely going to see a PC launcher from PlayStation, and we're going to see them really continue to follow along the lines as to kind of what Xbox has been doing with the Play Everywhere thing. And honestly, I think that is a great thing for the future. If you're going to be able to access PlayStation, Xbox, maybe one day in the future, Nintendo, your Steam library, all of these things on a singular device, that is going to be the best way for gamers to play games. It's way better than having to purchase each different platform and each different console just to be held to exclusivity on those consoles. So pretty excited about that. And I mean, Hiroki Totoki is definitely just saying that here in these reports. And we'll see going forward when they really start to ramp it up. When do they release the PC launcher, and when do they start to release their single player experiences day and date on PC? I do believe it is coming. Now, when it comes to Square Enix, we talked about them going more multi-platform now after their recent financial results. They saw a huge 16% drop in their stock, which is the biggest decline in 13 years. There was this debate that kept coming up though, is it because they locked exclusivity to PlayStation? They put Final Fantasy, their biggest titles, locked to the PlayStation console. And you had people going back and forth where some people were saying this wasn't the case, but we do have confirmation now. This played a major role in Square Enix having to change their strategy because of their poor financial results. It says here, sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, and Foam Stars all released exclusively for Sony Group Corporation's PlayStation in the previous fiscal year. They fell short of the Japanese game publisher's expectations in both revenue and in profit, Takahashi Kiryu told the analysts the previous day. So, I mean, it is as plain as can be there. There's no really any way that you can change the results there. The reality is multi-platform is the future. Locking games to a singular console via exclusivity is just killing some of these companies. It is hurting them financially. Therefore, we are going to see far less of this going forward into the future. And it just all kind of ties back to what we have been seeing throughout this year. I mean, it all started with Xbox and their new multi-platform strategy. I mean, they already were multi-platform before they put games on PlayStation, but now their new one was to put more games onto their direct box competitor, which would be the PS5, and then as well the Nintendo Switch. And we are going to be going into a future generation where this closed boxes, these closed ecosystems are going to be opening up to basically have everything in one place. And as I said, that is pretty exciting. Now let's jump over here and let's talk about Capcom and Resident Evil. We know that Capcom has made some great remakes from Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, all phenomenal games. And people have been wondering, are they going to be making a Resident Evil 1 remake, a Resident Evil remake, the original? And it looks like it could be happening as they are coming up to the 30th anniversary of the series. And now we have a rumor here from a insider, a leaker, whatever you want to call it, saying that they are looking to get this game ready for the 30th anniversary. This says Capcom is reportedly working on a remake of the first Resident Evil game just in time for the series' 30th anniversary. If it launches in time for the big day, that would make it a 2026 release. This is being claimed by multiple leakers, including entertainment reporter Daniel Rickman. On his Patreon page, Rickman backs up the claims being shared by Twitter user Pre-Alarabia, which states a Resident Evil 1 remake is in the works, scheduled for 2026. So, I mean, that's exciting. I really hope that they do end up bringing this out. It needs a remake for sure. And what they've done with their previous ones, I think will translate very well here to the first Resident Evil game. And then now is the question, are we going to be getting Resident Evil 9 in 2025 as we wait for the remake of Resident Evil 1? Like, there's going to be so much Resident Evil content if that's the case, because we are hearing that Resident Evil 9 is big open world style of game. So there's no lack of content there. The games sell very well, so I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom does decide to do this. Now, when it comes to Crystal Dynamics and Tomb Raider, we have seen tons of movie adaptations from video games recently, and they've all done pretty good. I mean, you think of The Last of Us and then the Fallout show, like those have both done very, very well. I think a Tomb Raider show could do good as well, and it looks like that is going to be happening as we have this announcement here from the Embracer Group. They are partnering with Amazon MGM Studios to develop Tomb Raider stories in streaming and film. And they say here that an extension of this partnership, Prime Video has announced today that it has ordered a Tomb Raider series with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Said as the writer and executive producer, the series based on the iconic Tomb Raider video game franchise follows the adventures of the world-famous archaeologist and adventurer Lara Croft. This series is produced by Crystal Dynamics and Amazon MGM Studios and will premiere exclusively on Prime Video in more than 240 countries and territories. So if you're a fan of Tomb Raider, you've been looking forward to them eventually making this live action show, it is going to be coming. Now, when it comes to Ghost of Tsushima, we know this is one of those PlayStation games. They are expanding out. They are releasing it on PC, and it is going to be coming out on May 16th. We have a bit more information exactly what this release is going to be. And this is a game right now that is kind of covered in controversy with the PSN account linking stuff. If you do remember, teams started refunding the game to people who pre-ordered the game in regions where PSN is not supportive, because you need a PSN account to play the multiplayer part of Ghost of Tsushima. You don't need it for the single player stuff, but even if you live in one of those countries that PSN isn't supported and you still just want to play the single player, you're not going to be able to get the game as it is being refunded. But it is coming out May 16th, and here are the results, or here is what you need to know about the release. It says that it is going to be bringing the incredible samurai themed title to an entirely new market. It is the complete package featuring the base game, the Iki Island expansion, and the game's cooperative multiplayer mode, Legends. And that is basically the reason why this controversy is surrounding it, because they are including that multiplayer mode in it. I mean, you would think that if PlayStation was smart about this with the PC release, they would just release that single player game alone, and then you could add on the Legends to it later if you wanted it or something. And then you could tell the gamers then, if you want to play the multiplayer, you need the PSN account. It would still sell like crazy just for the single player aspect of it. I'm not sure why they're doing this, other than the fact that they want to collect people's data and they want to try to lock you in to their inevitable PC ecosystem expansion with a PC launcher and keep you in there. That's the only thing really that I can think of. When it comes to Madden, it looks like we're getting an announcement for Madden 25 on May 16th. This comes the Bill Kuhn, reliable data miner on X, saying that We're getting the game announced on May 16th. It will have two editions, the standard edition for $70 and the deluxe edition for $100. And there will be some features that are going to be updated, like the reworked physics engine, the field sense gameplay. And there's also a documentary here on the history of making the game that is going to be available on Amazon Prime that was just announced today. So that is pretty exciting. I love when they do the behind the scenes stuff in terms of Madden, the video game. I used to be a massive fan of it. I used to go deep into the franchise mode, but Madden to me really has not been good since like the OG Xbox PS2 era. And I do dabble in it every single year, try to give it a chance. I'm hoping with updated physics and the field sense stuff, like they kind of say that almost every year, but I'm hoping this will finally be the year where the game does take that next step. I'm kind of skeptical, but I hope that is in, and I hope they continue to improve on the franchise mode. Now, when it comes to Palworld, we know Palworld has been an insane success, and we have just some more info here, which is pretty cool. It says 1.4 million concurrent players on Steam, and it has surpassed 5 million copies sold in 3 days. Palworld just keeps breaking records. If you know anything about Palworld, it was a game that was released on PC and Xbox. It's not on PlayStation, and I wonder if it ever will come to PlayStation. Maybe it'll ever come to the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo Switch 2. Just think about how much more numbers it could have if it does eventually expand out to those platforms as well. But it was in Game Pass too, which I think really helped push it forward. But on Steam alone, 1.4 million players still. And that's a peak. This is a game that's been out for a while. It's still peaking higher than Counter-Strike and Dota 2 and PUBG. Like, it is still doing insane numbers. This is probably one of the biggest success stories from a small little developer that we've ever seen in video games with the success of Palworld. And they're going to continue to make more content and continue to make the game overall better. And now let's jump over here. Let's talk some Xbox news, because Xbox they had two big announcements yesterday in terms of actual games and sales and stuff. This one here is for the Xbox 360. We know the store is closing down on July 29th, 2024. So what Xbox is doing because of this is they are starting to discount a lot of their games. So if you go to your Xbox 360, or if you do just go online to the Xbox 360 store on marketplace.xbox.com, you're going to see a bunch of games with huge discounts from like 75% off all the way to 90% off. And they're saying that starting on July 29, 2024, Xbox will stop supporting the ability to purchase new games, DLC, and other entertainment content from the Xbox 360 store on the console and the Xbox 360 marketplace. And to celebrate the legacy of the Xbox 360, he says, we're working with our amazing publishing partner to bring you as many price reductions from our online store or from the Xbox 360 store on the console. So you can go down here. There's like Destroy All Humans. There's Far Cry 4. If you love Just Dance, it's like Just Dance 2014 to 2019, 80% off, and just a bunch of other stuff that I'm sure you will be interested in depending on the type of game you like. I mean, now is the time to pick them up before they go away. I mean, to me, closing on the 360 store, the worst thing about it is, what games are we just never going to see and have access to again because of this? If there's no physical version, you're not going to be able to get the digital version anymore, at least legally. This is the issue with an all digital era. It's that game preservation that we've talked about here on the channel multiple times. But definitely go check out those sales if there's anything that you think you would be interested in. And we also got the Xbox Game Pass announcements yesterday, the most recent one. Lots of games here. I'm not going to go in depth into all of them. I'll just go quickly through the list. You have Chance of Sinar, which is coming to cloud, console, and PC on May 15th, which is a puzzle game. You have NHL 24 coming to cloud on May 16th. It was already on Game Pass on the console, but now you can actually play it on PC via the cloud if you were waiting for that one. We have Immortals of Avium coming to EA Play May 16th for cloud, PC, and the Xbox Series X and S. And Immortals of Avium is a game that did not do very well for EA. It's one of those games that looked really good on the outside, and I just don't think a lot of people enjoyed it as much as they thought people would. I played a decent amount of it. I thought it was fun. One of the cool things, though, with Immortals of Avium is that they have inputted the FSR 3.1 into the game. One of the few games on the consoles that use this technology. I've always been hoping that more games would. This one actually does. So if you kind of want to see the effects of that, you could check it out. Then we have the big one. Obviously, the highlights of this Game Pass announcement, but also probably going to be one of the highlights of Xbox this year, and that is Senua Sega Hellblade 2 coming May 21st, day one game. We've seen a lot about it so far It looks absolutely phenomenal. And it is even looking better now with what they just announced today, which is this photo mode. If you are somebody who loves sharing moments from video games, this is going to be something you absolutely want to check out. This may be one of the best photo modes I think I've ever seen within a video game, at least from this preview. We'll have to see it in action when the game is out, but it's really cool. Ninja Theory shared this video showing the photo mode and all of the different things you can do. Like you can change lighting. You can actually move the characters around after you've stopped the game to have like the perfect shot and everything. And with the graphics being as amazing as they are, you're going to get some amazing shots from Hellblade 2. I can't wait to see what everybody comes up with. That's going to be cool to follow social media and just all of the different screenshots and stuff and art, you could say, that people do create from Senua Sega Hellblade 2. I'm excited for this one. The combat looks better. The graphics look like it could be the best that we've seen this generation. A major showcase that Xbox is going to be having on May 21st. Next up is Galacticare, May 23rd, day one Game Pass game. And this one kind of reminds me of those 2 Point games, like 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus. Then you have Haunty, day one game, May 23rd, cloud console and PC, which is like an action adventure puzzle game. Moving Out 2 coming May 28th, Humanity coming May 30th, both of those on cloud console and PC. Lords of the Fallen, which is another big one here for Game Pass, cloud PC and console on May 30th. Then you have Firework on PC June 4th, which don't know too much about this, but it's like an investigation game, I believe. And then you have Rolling Hills on June 4th, a day one game, which is a life sim game. So lots of games here from the Game Pass announcement, but obviously the major highlight is going to be Hellblade 2 on May 21st. Everyone is going to be talking about that one when it does release. Now, we'll end off here with some more news about Assassin's Creed Shadows, which we are going to be seeing today. I can't wait to see the preview of it. But there is something cool here. There is some more information that came out. I don't really want to spoil it in case you do actually want to watch the trailer and be completely surprised by everything, just kind of with the characters and stuff. But this part here is kind of cool. We've been talking about Assassin's Creed Infinity for a while now. We know that this is coming. This is going to be a huge open world. This is going to be a huge hub for the Assassin's Creed franchises. And Tom Anderson has an update here, but he says, I can't remember where I said this before, but in Assassin's Creed Shadows via Infinity, which is again their hub, there's a mini battle pass called Projects. Each project has 20 levels where you can unlock cosmetics. 3 of them are called the Hidden Network, the Last Ronin, and then In the Shadows. So think about Assassin's Creed games, especially their open world ones. They're already very big. There's already so much to do within. Some people hate it. I actually love it. Like I played Valhalla forever. So on top of that, now there's going to be this hub where you're going to be able to complete battle passes. I'm assuming get cosmetics and unlockables to improve your character, at least the way that character looks. And there's going to be that on top of what is coming from the base game with Assassin's Creed Shadows and then the other Assassin's Creed games within Infinity. Lots to be excited for. I think if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, you probably could live in that world forever with the amount of content that Ubisoft is planning for it and have already made for it. So that's exciting for the fans of that franchise. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.